Thank you, Master of Ceremony. Good morning, everybody. Welcome you to this event where we're unveiling the venue for the summit, Food Security Conference, Symposium and Expo that will take place on 14th October to 16th October this year. My colleague has already outlined the deep background and the concerns that drove us to be where we are. I will just now make myself relevant to the discussion. The Master of Ceremony talked about charcoal. I just wanted to get 10 kilograms of charcoal, you need to burn 100 kilograms of wood. 10 kilograms of charcoal, you burn 100 kilograms of wood. So it's a 10% conversion. So if a sack weighs 100 kilograms, then you know that you have burnt 1,000 kilograms of wood to get that charcoal. So what does 1,000 kilograms of wood mean in terms of decreasing the forest so large? Climate change is real, and I want to emphasize that it's real. Many people denied climate change. For us in the science, we say these are normal hydrological cycles. Nothing is new until it became apparent that climate change is here with us. It is happening here with us in Uganda. It has occurred in our lifetime. It is shocking us and was very slow to respond. That's the problem. We have been very slow to respond because of doubts that we had before. And because of slowness of response to climate change, we are having difficult times and severe impact. Now, how do you know that climate change is with us? I just want to be that many people know it's there, but let me mention it. People of my age know that we used to be very good predictors. Between end of February to May, you have rain. But for the past so many years, the rain starts in the middle of April and ends promptly end of May. What does that mean? That us who are slow to respond, we are still waiting for rain. When we have not planted, and when we have planted, the food does not mature. And next thing, you have food failure. Maize is not ready. Whatever you planted doesn't get ready. That's the beginning of the story. Rain comes. It is so intense that within a short time, and I think we lived here last year. Last year was the worst year for Uganda. But half the country almost flooded. Many of us who were around Lake Victoria lost our businesses because the water took them. Intense rain and brings rain, a lot of water suddenly. A few cases have occurred. Mbale, very recently, about a month ago, it just came. Overnight, people were dead, infrastructure destroyed, and what was not reported in the news is that downstream where the water went, it carried all the rice fields which were ready for harvest. All were taken away immediately. So those of you know growing rice takes time. Those farmers who invested all the time in the rice harvested now nothing. That is climate change. Right now, it's been very hot in the western part of Uganda, and even here in Kampala. I live in Mukono. We got rains only 2 days ago. The real rains. Every place had no rain. And therefore we started late. But it has been heavy rains. And the consequence of that rain, that flow alone, caused flooding in Pakwach. Suppose it was also raining on this arm, because the entire Uganda drains in the Nile, what would have happened? So danger is coming. So climate change is affecting water systems, it's affecting land, it's affecting infrastructure, it's affecting, of course, agriculture. That is where we are all based. When it affects water, it affects food availability. When it affects land, it affects food availability. When it affects infrastructure, even if you are trading, so what has happened in Kasese right now? Whatever happens, the bridges are taken, whatever, you can't trade. So it affects food availability. If it affects agriculture, as I've mentioned, it affects food availability. So, food availability is food security. So, because climate change can affect the intermediate steps to food production, we're saying food security, climate change is impacting on food availability, food security. That's why our theme is today linking climate change to food security. Sometimes when we talk and the discussions that are held, you find we talk about impact of climate change on water, on land, on agriculture, I said, but finally, the final impact is food. And when climate change impacts food very drastically, no gun will stop a demonstration, because now you have hungry citizens all over demanding response from government, yet government was not even the cause of the problem. Now, schools have just opened, and I think most of you are parents. The head teachers have said we are going to increase the fees so that you can feed the children. Climate change affects food availability. Food availability has a direct impact on prices. So you are going to pay a lot of school fees. The cost of the hike of school fees is climate change, which affected food availability, and now it has translated into your pockets. The hunger that we saw in Karamoja was just a tip over. So school fees have been increased because the food prices are high. My colleague said the days of cheap food are gone. Now we should embrace ourselves for the days of high prices. Now the discussion that we're going to have is, how do we now link, knowing that climate change affects food or food systems, it brings responsibility to us. It brings responsibility to our door. Climate Change Action East Africa, together with its partners in Kenya and Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania, and the International University of East Africa, recognize these challenges. And we know that from what happens generally in government, people are very, very slow to respond to changes. But we want to create awareness at personal level, at community level, at national level, and regional level, that this thing called climate change is not stopping at water, it is stopping at food. Therefore, we want, by creating awareness, we hope that we shall create responsibility at personal level, at community level, at national level. So when the government, people come and tell you, please avoid farming in the wetlands, don't cut trees, you know that if you do it, what you are doing will come to your door directly to your door, and you'll be impacted, yourself, your family, as we are already now experiencing. School fees, even those who didn't cut trees now, you are part of the game. You are going to pay high school fees because of expensive food, which has been engineered by climate change, which has impacted on food production systems, and so now everyone is affected. So creating awareness, creating responsibility that we take care of what we can do as Uganda. We want to support government efforts. We want to support responsive actions, and I will highlight that. Again, at personal level, community level, national level, at regional level. And therefore, we want to create own solutions, our own. I know governments have been involved in a lot of discussions. When I used to work in government, we were all over the world, begging those people to give us money. They won't. They say they have, in fact, right now it's even worse because of the war. They are even, in fact, Europe is more affected because of high fuel prices. Now, for them, they can't give us the money. So governments have been trying to convince that this is not a Ugandan issue, it's a global problem. Let us leave government to do that. Let us create own solutions. Now, the symposium that we are going to have in October is exactly intended to showcase technologies so that we can get own solutions. Where we are now, the Vice Chancellor will talk about it. They have created a tractor, electric tractor, which will use no fuel, just needs plugging electricity. When they told us about the cost of using it, it is a third of the cost of using a tractor now, if you hire. Now, if you can get such a tractor, if you can get those tractors all over, it will at least give us relief as we inside the food production. We are going to share innovations. Many people are going to showcase the innovations that they have derived, they are using to respond to climate change in the production systems. Many people are going to show practices. They're going to have farmers here. They will come and say, this is how I survive. Most of you have planted maize. If you go out and bought maize which is treated, the one which is prepared by the seed companies, day one it comes out, day one also the army fallworm is on it. If you planted the other maize, which is not that one, there is no fall armyworm. Gives us an idea. Creating own solutions. We are going to share knowledge. They are going to be, in the symposium part, there are going to be people who bring knowledge, experiences. We have seen some of the papers they are going to present. Very, very big innovations. And actually, if you look at some of them, you say, where was Uganda? Where were we? We should have adopted this technology a long time ago. Some of the papers are very interesting. Instead of using, say, 15 kilograms of firewood to dry your fish, now they're using one to dry the same fish with the better quality. These technologies are going, this knowledge and technology are going to be showcased during the symposium and going to be shared. And that's why today when we unveil this, this venue, it's also to welcome you. Don't miss. Be there in October. Climate Change Action East Africa is also going to unveil its own project. We have modeled the project and we call it 1 acre outcome project. Only 1 acre condition, you have it near your home, and we are sure within 5 years, progressively, maximum 5 years, you'll be earning about 36 million shillings from that 1 acre. You'll be a climate change responsible citizens. You'll have your own fuel wood, energy solution, self-sustaining, and you'll be a citizen whose head is up, saying, I've contributed to knowledge, I've contributed to sustainability of my environment where I live, and it will change. If we can get 200 such people in one community, the people of climate change are telling us it will also create a microclimate. We shall also unveil this model, 1 acre outcome project, which will be what we shall showcase and tell you that it will cost a small amount of money to establish it, but the outcome is very, very rich in terms of money, in terms of food security, in terms of climate, and whatever. So our 1 acre model, our 1 acre outcome project addresses the issues that are generated by climate change and addresses the issue of poverty, which my colleague talked about. That will be what we shall unveil in October. So my effort, my clarion call to you is to invite you and ask you to invite a friend to come and see knowledge, because if you go with that knowledge, we will save Uganda as a country from climate change. Asante, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kurut. A bigger round of applause for him. I think for those of you who've been asking yourselves how many trees you've cut down, if in 1 kilogram of charcoal, you have to use 10 kilograms of wood, you can start doing your calculations. And for the Catholics, you go for, you call it penitence? Yeah, I think you need to go for that the quickest time. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue, allow me with humility invite to the fore Professor Emeka I don't want to mention the other name. Let me not murder the name, please. Professor Emeka, make it to the fore, the Vice Chancellor of International University of East Africa. Let's give him a round of applause as it takes. Feel free to take any of the seats right there. We will be more than glad. Thank you so much for coming through and for hosting us here. A beautiful place. This place reminds me of one time paying for tour to come from my village in Masindi, and we came to Didi's World. So all the memories are bathed back here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Hassan Akwi, the Chairperson, Commercialization of Innovation from right here, the International University of East Africa, to speak. Applause for Hassan as he comes to speak to us. Just a word and welcome us to this beautiful space. I do not know many universities that have such a beautiful space at the end of the day.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all to IUEA. And I'll let the Vice Chancellor say a few words after me, please, in regards to doing the same. So I want to maybe briefly just explain why IUEA is involved with this brilliant symposium. At IUEA, we believe in using technology to solve problems that our communities are facing. And we believe these technologies can be sustainable, and we believe they can actually do the unimaginable. So I believe most of us in this room already are a testimony of how technology has impacted their lives, and I believe there's a lot more that will be coming our way in the next couple of years. So at IUEA, my personal role here, beside being a director, is to stand in for youth and community development, as well as commercialization of the technologies that the university is involved in, many of which are bred by the students and staff. Others are brought in by goodwill ambassadors from around the world. And of course, we don't start with the technology, we always start with a problem. So here we're looking at the future of our children and our children's children. We're looking to see that they are also able to enjoy the good food that Uganda offers, the organic food, the fresh foods that we have always enjoyed. But I can assure you many parts of this world are not able to access this kind of foods that we have here. So I think it's important that we start thinking about how can we preserve the environment, how can we improve the food quality of our people, and of course I like the part of malnutrition and well-being. I think it's important, and it should be a human right that everyone should be they should be healthy, basically. So I'd like to thank all our partners that are here with us, and everyone else that has taken time to visit IUEA and to be part of this great cause. And we do assure you IUEA will always be here to support in any way possible. So thank you very much, and I'd like to invite Professor Emeka.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Good morning, everyone. As they usually say, all protocols observed. My name is Professor Emeka, and I will leave it at that. Our MC had difficulty pronouncing my last name, but it's Akezua. So I'm Professor Emeka Akezua, and the Vice Chancellor of the International University of East Africa. I welcome you all to this very beautiful campus in Kampala. And as you all know, we are called the Technological University of Choice. And that has a deep meaning. The Technological University of Choice in Africa, what we want to do is to use technology in its broadest sense of the word to solve real-world problems. And we are gathered here today to talk about climate change and food insecurity. These are big problems. As Dr. Okurut mentioned earlier, in the early stages, when scientists were warning of the dire consequences of climate change, a lot of policymakers did not buy into it. They thought climate change is a hoax, it does not mean anything, there's no such thing, the world will be fine, just move on. But today, I am happy also that the world is taking climate change seriously, because it is indeed a very, very serious issue. And I am also happy that IUEA, the International University of East Africa, is playing a major role in providing solutions to this global problem. So, climate change, a lot of people are not quite aware of what climate change is or what impact it has directly on us and the world as a whole. Climate change, of course, in a very brief description, is how the environment we inhabit, the air we breathe, the water we use, rainfall and all that, how it has changed. There's a certain amount of rainfall, good air that we need in order for us to survive. Earth is the only planet so far that we know in the universe that maintains life. We need water, we need clean air, and we need rainfall. Now, the ozone layer that protects the world from the rays of the sun is being depleted by gases that are created by us human beings from petroleum products, fossil fuel and the like. So when that layer is destroyed, the rays of the sun hit the earth more directly, and it changes rainfall patterns, it changes a whole lot of things. Now, when rain does not fall, we don't have food. When it is too hot, we have drought. When there is no rain and there is drought, we have no food. And when we have no food, we cannot sustain life on earth. If it is too hot, there is no food. So, climate change has a very direct impact on our lives. And it is very serious if we do not treat it well. Now, there are many solutions that are on board in terms of how we recreate industries so that they do not have consequences in the atmosphere. So all the black soot from industry, we have to find ways to cut those down so that we don't have problems. Electricity, or the use of electric engines to eliminate fossil fuel engines that pollute the environment. Those are some of the solutions. In agriculture, what do we do to ensure that there will be adequate rainfall, that we can mitigate drought? Of course, drought, sometimes it's a natural phenomenon and there's not much we can do about it. If you are in the Sahara Desert, the Kalahari Desert, or the Mojave Desert in the US and the like, there's little things you can do. Of course, people have tried to change the natural outcome of things. In Israel, they have been able to reclaim the Negev Desert and turn it into agricultural fields. So climate change is very, very serious because it directly impacts on our ability to grow food. It does so in a variety of ways, like I've said, no rain, sometimes floods, sometimes drought. Now, the world is 70% water, 30% land. The world's population is approaching 8 billion. It is at 7.753 billion. And the population is increasing. The land mass is shrinking from population growth. The land mass is shrinking from the impact of climate change. And how so? The northern caps and the northern pole and the southern pole is ice. Now, as the ozone layer melts, direct sunlight hits, those ice caps melt. And when those ice caps melt, the volume of water rises. And when the volume of water rises, it takes over land. So in some places you have flooding from heavy rainfall. or it cannot be predicted, and the glaciers melting take up land. Population increases. Now, how do you grow food to sustain people? It will be very difficult. So at the International University of East Africa, we are aware of these problems, and we are doing our part, A, to create awareness of the problems in addition to our partners. Climate Change Action East Africa, food security agencies, the ministries. We are doing the best we can to make sure that people are aware of this problem. But as a university, we go beyond the awareness phase into the generation of solutions phase. How do we use our skills, our knowledge in technology, in agriculture, to help provide real workable solutions to this problem? So at the International University of East Africa, we've taken a whole bunch of approaches, real practical approaches. So one, we are embarking on a smart agriculture program. Smart agriculture because in today's world with climate change and all the variables that it brings on board, drought, rainfall, lack of rainfall, and patterns that cannot be predictable, we need to bring as much science as we can to solving this problem. So we have embarked on smart agriculture. The smart part of it being we have to do things differently because the world has changed drastically. We are having to deal with fewer and fewer resources. So our solution to food to food insecurity are on two levels. One, we have embarked on creating an electric tractor with our partners, regenerators, and from Ireland. And I'm happy to mention that we have two members of our partners here in the audience with us. Navneet Singh, please if you can wave to the audience. And Mr. Panuel. So together we have come up with the e-tractor. The electric tractor solves a series of problems. One, it is electric driven. It is not fossil fuel driven. So we are helping to reduce harmful gases that go into the environment when you use fossil tractors and cars. Two, it is designed to enable the smallholder farmer to be as productive, because as you know, a smallholder farmer does not have the same resources that a commercial farm can bring to bear on their farm. So the whole idea behind the electric tractor is the climate issue, one, and food productivity increase in yield on an acreage, two, and affordability, because the model, the economic model for this tractor is such that we want the smallholder farmers to be able to afford it. It runs on electricity and also on solar. So it will work in the farm where there is no electricity. So that is one aspect in terms of the productivity of the farm. Two, we have embarked on a global platform for farmers, because it is one thing to increase the yield of your farm. Two, you need markets. So IUEA and its partners have come up with ESUS Farm, ESUS Farm. And that is a global platform where farmers can go and put what they have on that platform so that people from across the globe can see it. ESUS Farm is available on mobile devices, feature phones. USSD is what the technology behind it is. And we have it on Airtel. If you go to Airtel, *222#, you will get a menu of things that the smallholder farmer can do and what those who are looking for those products can also do to assist the small farmer, the smallholder farmer. That is the second technology. Three, we are looking at using artificial intelligence farm rovers to help the farmer to manage his or her farm. And what the farm rover will do is it can navigate the farm, identify the plants, the stage at which that plant is. Is the plant healthy? Is it not healthy? And I think Dr. Okrut also mentioned the caterpillar worm that destroys crops. That farm rover is able to identify plants. It's also able to identify insects that are harmful to a farm. So we are working on these technologies. There are a little bit more, but I just want to give you a taste of what we are doing here at IUEA on the practical level to help to solve this twin problem of climate change and food insecurity. And as Maslow said, there's this American psychologist who came up with this concept of needs. So it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom, pyramid of about 5 very important things. At the bottom of that is air, water, food. If you do not have these 3 things, nothing else matters. So our approach to this is we have to also approach these twin problems from a twin perspective, one of climate change, technologies, and one of farming technologies, so that as the land mass of the world shrinks, the population increases, the climate becomes an unknown quantity that we cannot predict how to plant food. We are able to come up with smart solutions that will help us to mitigate these issues, so that at the end of the day, we are all here. Our children have a future. Our children are able to live. Because the statistics from the United Nations is that 25,000 people die every day from hunger. 25,000 every day. 1 child dies every second from hunger. And in a year, 9 million people die of hunger. And of course, hunger is created by a couple of things. 1, there are wars, refugees don't have food. 2, food distribution, logistics issues. There may be food in the country, like in Uganda, but up north, the food is not able to get there. So these are some of the reasons. But the biggest one, the one that causes the threat to mankind, is climate change. If we do not address it today, the future of our planet is at risk. Why we are having this symposium here, where we are bringing the best minds in East Africa, the best minds in Uganda, the best minds at the International University of East Africa, to partner with our colleagues to generate ideas. Because if Uganda, that's in the green belt, if you look at the map of Africa, I think it's a geological map, they call it. The whole northern part of Africa is gray. That's desert. You cannot do much. You cannot grow food. The southern part of Africa is also gray. The Kalahari Desert is encroaching. It is not very ideal for agriculture. The northern part is not ideal. The southern part is not ideal. The green belt, where Uganda falls, is ideal for farming. But we cannot rest on our laurels. We must create new ways of solving old problems and of solving new problems. The new problem being climate change. So one of the things is, how can Uganda harness its agricultural lands and its best minds to mitigate this problem? I am confident that it can be done. As a scientist, I always look for the silver lining. I always look to see how can we use the knowledge that we have to improve lives, to provide food, to provide shelter. And I encourage all of you to attend this conference, because we will learn a lot from it. And we will also learn a lot from you. The farmers will be here, the technologies will be here, solutions will be here. Well, my appeal to policymakers is that when we come together, the farmers, the academicians, the policymakers, the interested parties, when we come together and have a symposium like this and we have solutions to those problems, for the policymakers to please support, really support these solutions so that we can all move forward and solve this twin problem of climate change and food insecurity. If we do that, we can contribute immensely to saving the planet. We can contribute to saving the future of our children and grandchildren. And IUEA, I promise you, will do its utmost to provide the support, the knowledge that is needed to move us all forward to a safe place. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. A bigger round of applause for Professor, and particularly because the International University of East Africa is dealing a lot in the technological transformation. Sometimes when the president is addressing and he talks about some of these things, they look alien. For example, when he talked about electric border borders, it felt like, what is he talking about? Does he even understand that? But I was just looking at one of the banners that we have here. I think that is where we need to get going. Imagine just how much of disease you get to come close in contact with each and every day as you're stuck in jam and you're just inhaling those fumes. The DMCs that are on the road, even the non-DMCs, but they're just releasing a lot of fumes. We never pay attention to the health threat that we do have from some of these fossil fuels. So the better we reduce, because there may not be such a point in time where we say we are entirely closing them out. They could stay, but better we reduce them and get much cleaner, much safer ways of fuel that will also help save on our environment. Ladies and gentlemen, next to speak to us will be from Climate Action Network, who is none other than Vikman Nanyonjo, who is the board chairperson. A round of applause for her as she comes to speak to us.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed, I stand here on behalf of Climate Action Network Uganda, but also in the House, I have the International Board member, Mr. Isaac Kabong. Could you just kindly come up here briefly? As he comes, Climate Action Network Uganda is part of the Climate Action Network International, that is the CANI. And Mr. Isaac Kabong sits on that board, but also he represents the African chapter, Climate Action African chapter, but the other bigger docket is that he's the treasurer for the Climate Action Network International. Before I begin, just allow me to give him just 2 minutes to greet you and also send greetings. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I want to take this opportunity to thank the East African Climate Action. I want to thank the International University of East Africa, the media, civil society, and all stakeholders. I just want to share a very interesting kind of conversation I had with some of my colleagues that we usually meet with when we are attending certain meetings. And the majority of them come from East Africa, but specifically Kenya or Tanzania. And these are the things which they normally tell me. They would tell me, Isaac, you come from Uganda, that they noticed one thing in Uganda whenever they are around. They said, in Uganda, food is free, but it is the source which is sold. But I was not comprehending whatever they were telling me. I said, what are you saying? They told me, in Uganda, food is free, Then when I shared with one of my colleagues, he tried to interpret, and I further again engaged. And I understood that when we go to our restaurants, they normally tell us, you order whatever food you want. So the pricing of the food is based on the source. Fish, different price, meat, different price, and beans, and so on. So I can imagine with all these challenges we are going to face, that is likely to change. The diversity of food. Because whether you eat kalo or you eat sweet potatoes, you eat yams, it doesn't matter. You just close your eyes, all the food will be given to you. But what matters most is the source. That's the beauty of the Pearl of Africa. And if we don't work hard, this is going to become history. Sometime back I was in Kenya. I thought I was in Kakamega. And I was thinking that I was in Uganda, and I was telling them I want all the food. They say, okay, food is available. But sir, we are sorry, each food you choose is a different price. It reminded me that I was not in Uganda. So I had to rethink about whether I wanted to have these varieties of foods or to go with a few. And indeed, I ended up having ugali only with one source. But very interesting to know that indeed the challenge is with us. And what I normally tell my colleagues is that every challenge sometimes has opportunities.
Apologies. Kindly request, ladies and gentlemen, that we will all stand up. I kindly request that I hold you. We all stand up to welcome our Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Matia Kasaija, who is joining us right about now. Welcome, Honorable, and thank you so much for making time off your very busy schedule to come through and speak to this important discussion, which also borders economic development. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. And Climate Action Network, please, you can continue. Apologies about that.
Yeah, we recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister. Thank you for coming. And I was saying that in every challenge, the opportunities. I want us also, as we talk about this challenge of climate change, to well amplify the opportunities that comes with it. And when you think about the innovations that the university is talking about, we need to take it very seriously. I remember the story of Singapore and Uganda. We have talked about how Uganda one time was supporting Singapore. The question is, what did Singapore do to be able, right now, I was listening to the BBC. Singapore has reached, its GDP has reached the level of being the GDP of Singapore right now is bigger than its former colony, the UK. I was told that, I was listening to the BBC as I said, that the GDP of Singapore now is bigger than the GDP of UK. What does that mean? Singapore had to put in place strategies to make sure that it reaches where it is now. And as one of our colleagues mentioned, that this, the greatest, even a journey of 1,000 miles starts with that simple step. We believe that as a country, we have a lot to offer to the world, and we want to make these very robust steps. And the step we have already started, we need to be prepared for the long journey of working together. And indeed, the opportunities are endless. We are aware that the challenges are there, but we want also to tap into the opportunities. I thank you, Chair of CAN Uganda, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Isaac Kabong. Honorable Minister, thank you for honoring the invitation. Members, allow me to thank our members. CCEA is a member of Climate Action Network Uganda. I want to congratulate you for having put this up and also extending the invitation to all of you network members. I want to recognize the network members that are here and also in a special way, Caritas Uganda. I know you mobilize your teams that have been here from Kotito Diocese, the director is here, I saw you somewhere. And also Kasana Ruero, you are also here. We also have the director Caritas for Kampala Archdiocese. You are here. Thank you so much. Caritas is a member also, but also one of the other issues I think the professor was mentioning is communities, and they do community outreaches. Now, why is Climate Action Network here? And you've heard Isaac also speaking, is we take food security and climate change as serious issues. As a network membership of 150 organizations, that is in Uganda, but remember, we're also a global network that has different chapters, Africa, Europe, Asia, the US, and others. Why do we take this as an important issue? And why are we participating fully and putting ourselves and efforts for the climate symposium for October? These are 3 areas, and allow me to let you know that as I stand here, we have a disaster already that has killed 6 people in Kasese. The landslide happened last night at around 4 a.m. and they're still counting the bodies. So if you think climate change was a myth, it's real. For those of you who watch the news in Pakistan and also in Mbale and Karamoja, you can agree with the previous speakers that this is real, it's not a myth. Why are we here? Is to support the baby that CCEA have birthed and also lock the synergies that we can bring together. As Climate Action Network Uganda, we feel sometimes, and I say we feel sometimes, because I was in Glasgow last year for the COP26. And this year we have COP27, which they are terming as an African COP. It's going to be in Egypt. But one of the things that we realize is that as Uganda, most of the times we go there to talk. But then the action is limited. Now, we are at a university today that is not talking, but also producing something. We are at the university today that is looking at the young people. And as Climate Action Network, we want to promote the youth of Africa to be able to solve their own issues. The headline news that you see our young people crossing the Mediterranean is because of the economics. But we also know that food is one area and agriculture is one area that is untapped. How can we change this? Under the advocacy role, we can do that, but we also need to do the outreaches with the practical solutions. And I know that this is a decade of action under the UNCCC, for those of you who follow. The action we are looking at is let's move from the boardroom to the fields. And as Professor Emeka said, and Dr. Okrut, we need to find local solutions that our local farmers can be able to adapt. and also stay resilient, because we know that climate change is real. The other issue that we want, and why Climate Action Network is here, is to see the potential we have as a country. We have different capacities, from the planning unit to the food and agriculture to also the research and development. How much have we tapped in this? And for us, as Climate Action, we think the symposium is going to answer this. And this symposium is going to be practical. As you heard the previous speakers say, we want to look at the solutions. That when we come to the auditorium, you are looking at the presentations, but outside, you are looking at the solutions. The availability of those solutions and locally made solutions. But of course, we are also saying we need to tag ourselves with technology. How do we tap in? And I think Professor Emeka ably stated that. Last but not least, Climate Action Network is bringing on board, and this is for the university and our member, CCEA. Climate Action Network is bringing in the expertise. Among us here that we invited are some of the experts from the different organizations that make Climate Action Network. We have researchers, but also we have organizations like Oxfam. I saw Oxfam here. Jackson, where are you? Yes. Oxfam also sits on the UNCCC at the global level. So they have a seat. So it means when you see the members here, it means that we are in for long term, but we are also saying, how do we solve the African problem? When you have Karamoja with hunger, and Nakasero, people are throwing out food. What is there? Is it a logistical problem? Is it a planning problem? Or none of the above? So what are the interventions that we are doing as Climate Action Network? We've managed to get in touch with the various organizations. And at this juncture, I want to invite the university to be associate members of Climate Action Network. Why are we doing that? Because we partnered with the Ministry of Water and Environment, and under that, we have what they call Running Out of Trees campaign, and this campaign has different members, and the commissioner is here who is heading that program. The Running Out of Trees is helping out on the biodiversity, that if I'm planting on my 1 acre, the land, it means that I can make it as a boundary, buffer zone. It can give me the shade. It can cool the area, but also serve as windbreaker. That is now my 1 acre, as Dr. mentioned. But the other thing is that we also give out fruit trees for the nutrition aspect. And I think when you see the theme, is also the well-being of a person. So how do we get this solution? Is get the Ministry of Water and Environment on board, the Ministry of Tourism on board, because tourism should also be an eco-tourism, as we want more money, but also need our forests guarded, rightly so. The other one that I need you to look at is the schools program that Climate Action Network members are into, is how do we guide our school children get involved? And that is revamping their school gardens to enable them have their nutrition side. The last one, as I wind up, is that climate action is a grassroots movement. We have a global touch, but we are looking at the household level. So each member, organization member, we have outreaches. But our main focus is how do we increase food productivity, resilience at the grassroots level, but also at household level. And these are our recommendations as we move towards the symposium. Let's call in everyone that can participate fully, everyone that can support financially, Everyone with the research that has been on the shelf, can you share it? Everyone that has the energy, I've seen the young people running around, that's the energy we need. How do we get our young people practically involved? The other one, the appeal that I want in this house is I'm calling upon our partners, especially Oxfam and Caritas. I know you have outreach within the region, East African region. Bring in that expertise, bring out those smallholder farmers with the solutions that you already have, so that other network members can see what you're already doing and we can learn better. As for the landslides, hunger, Honorable Matia Kasaija, my appeal on behalf of the network members here is let's have the planning unit work with stakeholders. Because I think our problem has been having a few people sit in a particular place to solve a national problem. And yet we have willing brains that can sit with your team and give some advice, also solutions. And I know that we all want Uganda to excel. We all want East Africa to excel. But we cannot excel when we are working in silos. We need to move as a team. My call to action today is this is a decade of action. I need every network member to have a stall here and also find a solution and be part of the organizing committee so that this can come out as an international event with solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Vickman Nanyonjo. Those call to action, the call to action is important, and also speaking about the realities of where we are and how important it is to address climate change, which is the new discussion that we do have. Ladies and gentlemen, for now, allow me invite to the fore the Deputy Mayor of Kampala Central, Hajat Tanifa Mpungu, who, after briefly speaking to us, will invite the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, who also today doubles as our guest of honor. Madam Mpungu, thank you so much and welcome to speak to us.
Good afternoon, Minister, protocol observed. You're very welcome to this moment of a great occasion of this sort. I'm one climate lover, and as a mother, I think we needed this as early as yesterday. I would like to first of all thank the East African University team for the work well done and for your innovations. I love the Technological University of Choice. That is so amazing. Then I love the nexus of linking climatic change with food security and wellness. Looks like one is a subset of the other. Now, you know, mothers are managers, mothers are drivers. All mothers that are here, I would love to echo on you to embrace this cause with the highest spirit possible. Because if mothers hold this in high esteem, I know we'll have a way. I've been given this task to welcome my minister, but I double as the deputy mayor, like you've been told, and we've been spearheading the parish development model. And I'm sure recently we have statistics that most of the household income basically goes to the mouth, which goes to the food. So all stakeholders here, I want to assure you that climatic change, food, nutrition, and wellness really go hand in hand. The professor has been here and he was very clear. Mr. Emeka, my humble appeal is one. Most of the people who appreciate the kind of speech that you have given here are the corporate people and the middle class. But I wish how we would love to have some local kind of appreciation of climatic change, food security, and the rest. For instance, there is a time our president was echoing to the leaders and policymakers to go down and explain to people down there parish development model in their local languages. Because if we sit in our boardrooms and we sit in our offices without appreciating, because for sure these people are the majority, we have to first appreciate that we have to get it from the grassroots. These numbers need a lot of awareness. We have to make a clear-cut program of capacity building to the kinds of people who are deep down in the villages. They do not appreciate climatic change. They do not understand any of the kind of English and literature and climatic change and food security and nutrition. But if we interpret to those various local people there, we are going to score big, because if we start with those people, and they are the people who really go to the gardens. These modern kinds of farming have been put in the minds of people. Some of those people who have not gone to school, especially to learn modern ways of farming, have not gotten the opportunity. So it's my humble appeal that we drive this from the grassroots. Food security cuts across all sectors, be it a doctor, engineers, everyone touches food, which means we cannot be living if we don't appreciate food. There are some of our colleagues, entirely their lives depend on food, hand to mouth. So when we are looking at insecurity around the country, before we look at insecurity as regards rebels and things to do with the gun, this is the fundamental insecurity. Because when people are hungry, they can do anything. When people are hungry, they're uncontrollable. So, Mr. Minister, my humble appeal is one. If people have eaten food, they psychologically get sober. Then other programs can go into their heads. But you cannot lead, however, structures that come up with good governance, with all the structures we have in the country. There is no way you're going to manage. Hungry people are hungry people, and the reverse is true. Then I would love to echo something. As KCCA, we give you our pledge. The East African team, CCAEA, and whoever partners would love to embrace this, that will be there for you whenever called upon. Being KCCA as the heart of the city and the capital city, you know that when the capital city coughs, the rest of the country sneezes. So we would love to have energy, will be available, and I'm sure when we have all our hands together as teamwork, we can get away. Then for the scientists, I would love to appreciate, Professor was telling us that Kalahari is eating deeper. What are we going to do with the desert? We cannot just keep lamenting that Kalahari is coming deeper, because I'm sure with your heads, when you scratch your heads, you can come up with methodology or means or anything that we can do with the desert. So for instance, it is coming, eating us deeper. We cannot just sit and hold our hands and lament that the desert is getting deeper. It was starting like a small story, but now it has become a cancer. So my brothers and sisters, all members, stakeholders here, when I have to talk about food or food security, I think I can take the whole of day. But in the interest of time, our guest of honor has a lot of engagements on his hand. Mr. Minister, you're very welcome. We know that with your might, because your docket is what gives us the milk in the country. So I'm sure when you get up and put your energy again on climatic change, food security, and the like, we'll know that we'll have a way, because you're one of the biggest, and I'm sure if we synchronize this in your office, allow us to come all the time, we will always come to knock on your door to get your hand in this. But I think we need this as yesterday. We humbly request you to fast track it, and we see that we can have the light of day. Thank you so very much. You're very welcome for the podium.
will excuse me, I have not been briefed on who is here because I've come late. But I recognize all of you, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you for having convened this meeting. When Haji rang me the other day that I should come here, the thing that excited me most is the question of food security. You hear what KCCA has said. It's obvious information. A hungry person is an angry person. You can't run a society when people are not eating. Eventually we die. We all depend on food. You can see me here, I'm approaching 80. Many people get surprised. Kasaija, you don't put on glasses. Kasaija, you do. You are further. You play tennis. Food. Have you understood? Food. I am lucky I have a wife who knows what type of food I should eat. That's why you see me like this. Now, you know, some parts of our country, people have no food like Karamoja. And now with this climate change, even areas which were more productive may not be productive. I'm a farmer myself. I have not seen rain on the farm for the last 3 months. The cattle is dying. I'm a cattle keeper. We have come up with the Minister of Agriculture that we must end hunger in Uganda. Me, as long as I'm still in that seat, when Kaguta keeps me there. And the Minister for Agriculture, we have resolved that we should never hear people starving in Uganda. And the program is on. But in order to do this, you must have actors. We are beginning with big, large-scale farmers to create production and productivity, but also, because at times we grow food. I'll give you an example. Last season, we had more maize. If it wasn't this climate change, you know, there are 4 things in Uganda which we produce and do not consume all. The first one is maize. You remember? Maize we had been exporting to our brothers and sisters in Kenya, and some of it even at Rwanda. 2, milk. We have more, before this calamity came, this dry season, we've been producing more milk than we can consume. 3, there's maize, sugar, milk. The 4th one is getting off my hand, but I will remember it as I speak. So, when I heard you people talking about linking climate change to food security, there is, of course, you have added nutrition and well-being. Today, I am not going to talk about nutrition. I want to talk about food for every stomach of every Ugandan, to have enough food so that you have energy to look for after yourself. And because we are talking about people getting rich, the PDM, that PDM is a project for helping those people whom we call Kida Kionka, people who are working only for the stomach. They will not be able to do that until they have fed for themselves first, and with good food. at the right time in the right quantities. Are we together? Are you listening to me carefully? So we have taken a deliberate position and policy at the government that starting with this season, which is in some areas, rains, as I've told you, they have not even started. In others, it is raining plenty, but we shall aggregate and ensure, particularly maize, soya bean, and ordinary beans. We shall build soils if we produce more to make sure that at any given moment in the year, we do not want to hear people are starving. We will move food from one place to another to ensure everybody, as I said, has got something to put in his or her tummy in order to survive. What do we need? I'm glad you are now, I think you will be one of my, the association, let me see, CCAEA, which stands for, can someone help me? The Climate Change Action East Africa. You are going to be our partners. And formally, I will write this letter to you that what you have started should not end only in Kampala, in this hall here. Is this what used to be called Didi's word? Is this what used to be called Didi's word? Didi's word. That we have, I would like that we develop a very close relationship with you. Particularly, I could see you have not been very much deeply read what you are about, but I think you are also doing research. Am I right? You are doing research. So we must make research, because you're doing things, you don't do things alone. They are the farmers, but the farmers also need to be guided. What time do they cultivate? What is the productivity? Where are the materials, the seeds, and the planting materials? What is the problem with the soils? What about those areas that have been cultivated in, out? If you don't replace the nutrients, what happens? So, I'm very proud to be with you, and I shall definitely make sure that we work with you both in research and even extension. As I said, Haji did not give me a full brief, except I saw that question of food. If there are any issues that you think government can handle to augment your work, we are available. If you want a meeting with me, please don't hesitate. Get your leaders. They will ring us, and we shall organize a meeting, either outside or within the ministry, to debate and discuss and work a way forward. We must succeed. There's no failure. There's no room for failure on food. We must succeed. So, I thank you for having invited me. Unfortunately, I came late. Many of the ideas I've not heard, but I pray that no, say it for everybody to hear. Say it, Mama.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Like the minister echoed that he came in a little bit late, I was reminding him to echo out the invitation of the Big Do on 14th October. It will be running from 14th October, 15th, and we'll have a climax on 16th October. So you're all very welcome. So I was requesting for his blessing as well. As the maximum goes on 16th October, we'll have a morning run. Then we'll have some other events of closing the exhibitions on the day. The symposium will be on. The exhibitions will be on of all walks of life across the country and all the walks of life outside Uganda, East African particularly. Then in the evening of 16th, we'll have some entertainment. We really need your blessing as well, sir. As a reminder, thank you so much.
The blessing is given. The blessing is given. Now, last day, I think he was saying the planning unit should link with the organization, correct? The door is open. The door is open. The door is open because what we are trying to do, you are supplementing actual government efforts. So we are with you on that one. I think my remarks will end here. If there are any burning issues, as I've said, you can always send us a memorandum and we will be able to answer whatever question you have raised in that memorandum. Now, mbadde nkyali awo nga baŋŋamba nti Honorable Kadaga is not coming and that I should do her job, and I will do it. Nze sitya bya bukulu oli bwampa ekitiibwa ngenda nakyo. Now there is a speech here that has been drafted and I'm not going to pretend to change it at all. So let me read the Honorable Kadaga's speech, the second, as you know, Vice Prime Minister in charge of our East African affairs. She says, many parts of East Africa in the past year have been experiencing hunger due to the acute food shortage. We have seen that even within our own country here, as you know. The recent images from the Karamoja sub-region in Uganda attest to this. Now, in Karamoja, you know, I've known Karamoja since 1971. People think Karamoja is a dry country. It's not a dry country. I will give you an incident when I conclude that Karamoja is not a dry country. You people don't know dry countries. Have you flown to Dubai, you people? Many of you, how many people have flown to Dubai? Put up your hands, I want to see. Do you say dry country when you take off? Because normally we arrive there in the evening. But when we are coming in the morning by Emirates, we see a dry place. Sand. All the way from Dubai up to joining the Mediterranean Sea, it is all sand. That's what dry. Karamoja is not dry. I was working for Shell 1970, as I said, 1971. I went to sell gas to Moroto Hotel. I slept in Mbale. Early in the morning, I woke up, passed through a place called Nakapiripit, then Amadat. No, not Amadat. Nabilatuk. Those of you who know that place, Nabilatuk. After Nabilatuk, there is a gorge. So it was completely dry. I crossed it with my Casimiro car, a Peugeot 204. Many of you have not seen it. Very small little car, but powerful. We went to Moroto. We saw the gas. We saw what there was required. In the evening, we drove back to go to Mbale. You know, when the younger men at that age, they want to know where there is a dance and whatnot. Karamoja at that time would not have dancing halls. The dancing halls were where? In Mbale. So we arrived at 5 o'clock. Water was this high. We could not cross. So we asked the wananchi around, we said, what do we do? They said, you people go back, go and sleep in Moroto. Tomorrow morning you come here by 10, 11 o'clock, you may be able to cross. So we turned our car, we went back to Moroto. We slept. Precisely 11 o'clock, we were back on the scene. The water was this, almost 2 inches. So we asked ourselves, where did the water? Then we said, that water has already gone to Lake Bisinia. That's why Karamojong, when at times they want to tease their cousins in the Bateso, they say we are following our water. Have you heard that one? Anybody from Karamoja here? Aha. So the Karamojong, when they come, but the only thing, you should have been going to look for water, but not to rustle. When they go to look for their water, then they start rustling cattle of the Bateso and create chaos. That is the day I was convinced that Karamoja is not a dry area. It is our lack of technology. If we could hold all that water up in Karamoja, then Karamoja would not be dry. And when the First Lady was the minister in charge of that one, I advised her. She tried. I said, make sure that every drop of water that gets into Karamoja, it is kept up there. We tried, but money was not enough, I think. She was not able to do everything, but she tried. Or the alternative is to pump this water back if money was available. The technology is there, but the money now, to push back the water and then release it again. And in the future, that's going to be the case. We shall pump that water back up and then release it into the villages so that the farmers in Karamoja can have irrigation all the time, all the year round. So it's not dry. In addition, food production planning in these regions seems not to be shifting or informed by climate change that is already reflected by its markers of increasing temperature and a change in rainfall onset, intensity, and cessation. According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, smallholder farmers cultivate less than 1 hectare of land in a cropping season. Oh. Now Honorable Kadaga wants me to talk. Would you allow me to first talk to her? Can I talk to her, please? So that you may hear what I don't want to keep these big people here just waiting to hear a conversation between Honorable Kadaga and Kashaija. According to the Ugandan Bureau of Statistics, smallholder farmers cultivate less than 1 hectare of land in a cropping season. Practice labor-intensive farming using rudimentary technology, especially the hand hoe. Own a few heads of cattle and produce mainly for family consumption. We have talked about this one. You are 39% of your homesteads in Uganda, according to the statistics, they are working only for the tummy. Hence that PDM program that we have rolled out. These farmers dominate the rural Uganda setting. From the statistics, it's quite clear that the food systems production in Uganda is bedrocked on smallholder farmers, and by default, they are the ones that bear the unprotected wrath of climate change-driven impacts like the drought and floods that we are even experiencing today. The fluctuation of food production and availability due to climate change impacts can only therefore be mitigated if the smallholder farmers' productive capacity and productivity are deliberately enhanced. I've told you that program of parish development model is precisely that. We are sending money to the Miruka. Parish means Muruka in our local language here. And even the issue of irrigation is going to come now that climate change has become climate change. I therefore encourage all stakeholders across the movement ministries, non-governmental agencies, and institutions to engage and play an active role in the East African Food Security Symposium and Expo that will happen here at the university starting from the 14th and up to the 16th of October 2022. My apologies, I would have been here, but I will not be here, but I will send a representative. I'm traveling to go and beg money for Uganda somewhere. So that day, I'm sorry, during that period, I will not be able. But if you want me to be there, I will send you some minister that can come and represent me effectively. Let me repeat this. I therefore encourage all stakeholders across the movement ministries, non-governmental agencies and institutions to engage and play an active role in the East African Food Security Symposium and Expo that will happen here at the university starting from the 14th and ending to the 16th of October this year, with the theme linking climate change to food security, nutrition, and well-being. It is now my pleasure, I'm talking as Kadaga now, it is now my pleasure to unveil the venue of the symposium and expo. Thank you very much. In summary, my message, me. In summary, no food insecurity in Uganda. Every person in Uganda should have sufficient food. Kisoboka. You younger people who have not traveled around the world, you don't know what the beauty that really God gave this country called Uganda. You are talking of dryness. Yes. I've told you I have not had rain for the last, on the farm for the last 3 months. It's because of our ignorance. There is water somewhere 20 miles away. I don't have a technology to pull it and bring it to the farm. So the scientists, please help us. Help us to get the proper technology of how to get that water where it is and take it where it is needed. That's all. I don't think Lake Victoria is going to be dry out to just in 1 year. I don't think so. It's going to be there for many generations. If we watch how we are protecting the environment. Mama KCCA. When I was studying at Kisubi in 1960-63, that lake was all blue. Blue. You would stand at Kisubi there and say blue. The other day I was coming from State House, I saw brown. Because We have planned poorly. I'm not blaming anybody, I'm blaming all of us. We have settled in the marshes. The other day, Rubigi. You all know Rubigi? Where River Mayanja starts? Yes, actually yesterday. I was coming from a State House. All the water up to the road crossing Mitiana, the water was brown. Which means somebody has interfered with the ecology on the other side. So, when I call upon you, Madam, put discipline in us. Yes, because if you decide to say don't build in a wetland, and I can tell you government now has taken a farm stone, whoever you are, in the past we have been hearing, being told, you know, those are big people you cannot touch. Who is untouchable? When it comes to the lives of the Ugandans, nobody is untouchable, not even the president. So please let us plan to get back Kisubi, which I knew when I was at St. Mary's College Kisubi, so that I don't want to see that lake in Victoria getting brown. People have moved into wetlands, they have blocked water. Oh, we cannot continue like this. We must do something. Me, when I'm still there, please remember, I am your big gun. I am your big gun. I will speak in parliament, I will speak in cabinet, because I don't want my children to inherit a country which is not very beautiful, like some of us who have seen it. So please take care of that. Climate change, yes, there are other things which we import. That one I also are aware, but let us be careful ourselves. We have cut down all the forests. In some cases, it is inescapable because people have to cook. Now, this is where we are asking you, younger scientists, can't you design a little cooking stove that we can give to these people using, we are getting somebody who is producing ethanol from cassava to act as petrol or as paraffin. I have that project in northern Uganda. Can't we get a little instrument that we can give to our old people, who are not rich, in order to cook, but we avoid charcoal? So I'm challenging you people, especially the scientists, that business of charcoal should be stopped. But you cannot stop it if we don't have an alternative, because then you will fight it. You will be opening up a war with the small holders, the small business people, the low-income people. Research. If you want funds to help you to research, you come, we shall discuss. Have you heard? I can't know me really, to be honest with you, the way I've seen this country, beautiful as it is, but now getting the country look, I don't want to use a derogatory word, but deteriorating. Let me use that word, deteriorating. That's not the way we should do it. We must reforest the country. We must make sure the wetlands are not settled in. We must make sure that people are not cultivating on the hills without putting bands, so that the beauty of this country is maintained. But if we go the way we are going, I may have gone, but your children, I'm telling you, will come and curse us and say, oh, these Benos were here, the Kasaijas. This is what they left behind. I don't want to be cast when I'm in my grave. For us down on the Bunyoro there, it is terrible to be cast by your children when you are in the grave. Because then you have been a bad parent. So I want to die and remain in my grave when the children are saying, Wama abantu bano bali wano nga bakola ebintu bakola bulungi. Have I said something wrong? Have you understood my message? So let us join hands to resuscitate, to get back our country where it was at the independence, despite the population being increasing. You, that the researchers, and now you said the planning unit should link up with your organization, and I'm going to invite you. That's about climate change. It's a huge problem. We created it ourselves, but it must be solved. Whether it is big, whether it is big or small, we must do what? We must find a solution. We are working in the government to find a solution. You wait. We have taken a decision at the cabinet. Anybody who is in a forest reserve, out. Have you heard? Out. Everybody who has settled or is cultivating in a wetland, out. And with no compensation, except in a few cases, the president says some governments misled people, like in Kigezi. They were told people to start farms in wetlands. In eastern Uganda, people were encouraged to cultivate rice in Obusoga, Bukedi, in wetlands. Those we shall compensate, but they must get out, so that this country can become even more beautiful than some of us have found it. Thank you. May God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for your time and for giving us those kind words and the pledges that you have clearly made.
NBS happening now.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Mirinda. Grab yourself an ice-cold bottle of Mirinda Orange at any shop or supermarket near you. Mirinda Orange, the taste that makes you go ORNG.
Tawakkal Travels. Buli muntu yenna yandyetaaze okukola hijja n'atuukiriza empagi y'obusiraamu naye wabaddewo ebiganye awo abaana bammwe we batunudde. Tawakkal Travels jangu ogende Makka ne Madiina okole hijja ne wumula otawakkale. Bano baasimba amakanda e Makka